Pyro has some really fun weapons in his arsenal to mess around with, be it comboing with flare guns or flying behind the enemy lines to burn some snipers. But to me, one of the most funniest weapons for him is the Phlogistinator. Now you may think, Phlogistinator is really stupid, everyone who uses it can go jump off a cliff, and don't worry, after this video is done I will do that, but hear me out. Phlogistinator requires some skill to use. I mean, it's not as much as normal flamethrower with its lack of air blast, but it's really fun nonetheless, and I wish to tell you why that is. But quickly, I want to advertise that I started a Patreon, so if you have spare money and feel like what I do is worth it, then please consider subbing there, as $5 a month helps me a lot. That out of the way, let's talk about its origins, stats, and why this weapon kind of sucks yet is fun to use. Phlog was released back in Australian Christmas 2011, so the weapon soon turns 12 years old, and with that info you can feel old as I do. It's one of the weapons released in a bundle with some other futuristic weapons like Man Melter and Third Degree, along with some cosmetics. This weapon has always had the same idea of charging up a meter and then activating it gives you crits. It used to heal you up to full HP and give you damage resistance, but it was changed to invulnerability and it doesn't heal you anymore. So the stats. Deal 300 damage to fill meter, taunt to gain crits to 10 seconds minus the taunt duration, and unleash hell with full long crits. This weapon has the classic no random crits downside and a stat so creepily many self-respecting Pyro players will throw this thing to the trash. No air blast. And that's all, this weapon is really simple, your only option is to hold down that fire button and run at enemies. Honestly, most of the time when playing with this weapon, it's just a 4-stock flamethrower and you really start to miss that air blast when fighting soldiers, as you turn from being able to hold your ground against soldiers to literally I cannot play this game. But when this weapon works, it really works. It's really funny to see how many people you can take down with your crits, and it kind of turns you into an addict, wanting to get the same dopamine hit like you did last time. It's so funny that I almost got kicked in one of the games. I tried to ask the person why he will try to kick me, but I never got an answer, so I will assume he doesn't like Phlog Pyros. But while this weapon is funny, it's even 10 times more funny when you include Pyro's most cancerous weapon, the Scorch Shot. Scorch Shot becomes your primary weapon in a sense with how much you're going to be using it. You could also use Detonator, but it doesn't deal as much damage, and well, you will need some skill to use that, as spamming the floor with Scorch is easier. But I want to give a real quick hot take. Phlogistinator is funny, yet not that bad. Sure, it is irritating to run into a Pyro with crits, but yet most Phlog Pyros are predictable as hell, and with their lack of air blast they're even more vulnerable than normal Pyro. So if you just go soldier and spam the ever-loving hell out of him, they can't do much. Or just go heavy, as they will never want to run into you again. Or Demonite. What will they do? Air blast you away? Phlog Pyro is really easy to counter, unless he has a pocket medic, which will then turn this funny way to play into real comedy. Imagine a Pyro with crits and Uber, that is some nightmare fuel and is really one of the reasons why people might be not too fond of Phlog Pyros. But like I said, just spam them with rockets and bullets and they will become more of an irritating presence than any real threat. But in order to turn this weapon into a more fair and skillful unlock, I want to share my balance ideas. I really like after breakfast balance suggestion, so I will add a short circuit type discharge that deletes projectiles for a right click, so Pyros have some breathing room around soldiers. But I will make it cost like 25% of the charge, so you need to prioritize whether you want that charge now and risk dying to rockets, or get it later and delete some projectiles. Then probably to fix the medic issue, make it so you can't be ubered while under the influence of I'm not too sure how well this will work, but it will fix the medic problem. Overall, Phlog is really funny when it works, but it's dog but worse when it doesn't, so with this idea it should hopefully make some of the issues with this weapon a bit better and avoid the pop stomps that medic can cause, and make Pyro really use his brain a lot more. But still, this weapon isn't that great, and people who complain about it just refuse to play around it, because remember, Pyro can kill you across the map with crits, so just keeping some distance and shooting some healthy amount of rockets will keep Phlog Pyro at bay. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, as I had fun making it. Do leave a like if you will find more of this type in the future, and maybe subscribe as well for more TF2 stuff. Thank you all for watching and have a nice day.
Smart, son. Get a real gun.